Hi, welcome to SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. We are previewing the main card of UFC 184 right now with our regular returning guest, Nick Kalikas, who is a professional MMA odds maker and a consultant for numerous high-profile sports books, and his website is MMAoddsbreaker.com. And also joining us over the phone from MMAoddsbreaker.com is MMA analyst Brian Heminger. All right, Jake Ellenberger and Josh Koscheck. Interesting fight here, right? Two guys both on 3-fight losing streaks. Koscheck, 37 years old, skills in decline, but he never quits. He's great mentally. And Ellenberger, kind of the opposite, right? 29 years old, but just something seemed to be wrong with him mentally over his last 3 fights. You know, if you read his words for this one, he seems to be confident and preparing well. Ellenberger minus 215 as a favorite. What do you think, Brian Heminger?
Man, I'm not sure I want to bet either of these guys. Combined, they haven't won in 5 years. So it's very difficult. I mean, obviously, you look at their strength of competition, and that kind of tells you a different story, because Ellenberger's losses are to the absolute best of the best. And then you look over at Josh Koscheck, and same thing. Rory McDonald, Robbie Lawler, Johnny Hendricks, all these guys tip-top, like I believe combined, like all their losses are to guys in about the top 5 or 6. So I think that they actually would be okay against, guys maybe outside the top 15. So this is actually a pretty compelling fight. And then when you look at it, I would say that in terms of decline, maybe Josh Koscheck's is a little bit more pronounced because he's a little older. He's a veteran of the Ultimate Fighter Season 1. He's had a lot more wear and tear, and potentially this could be his last fight. I mean, a lot of people thought he was going to retire when he got knocked out by Tyron Woodley. So it's okay to lean towards Ellenberger, but again, this might be a bit of a pass just because both guys have a lot of problems.
I mean, it seems like the big question with Ellenberger is just his mental state. Maybe when he's fighting those top guys, he sort of, he's content to coast to a loss. And when he's up against someone where he has a legitimate edge, he won't have those kinds of mental issues. I mean, what's your take on Ellenberger and the things that people have been knocking him for in his recent fights, which is just mentally checking out a little bit?
Yeah, he does. He gets a bit of a deer in the headlights look sometimes. Right. He's a bit of a front runner. When he is able to push the pace and steamroll people, I mean, he looks like an absolute world beater. I mean, you just look at the tremendous run that he was on that had him get wins over Jake Shields and a couple other guys to become a top 5 fighter. But then when he comes in there and it doesn't work, he does shut down a little bit. I mean, Rory McDonald completely froze him in his tracks with a jab. I mean, it wasn't a great fight, but that was because Ellenberger couldn't do anything. So I don't see Josh Koscheck being able to do that against him. Like, Koscheck isn't the most technical striker that's going to be popping out a jab and really forcing Ellenberger's hand. So I think Ellenberger could have a little bit more success here than people are expecting.
Sure. What about Ellenberger by first-round knockout then? That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that, if Ellenberger wins, he probably dominates. Ellenberger first-round knockout. What do you think?
If this was 3 years ago, I would say 100% jump all aboard Ellenberger by first-round knockout. But just with some of the signs we've seen from Ellenberger lately, the tentativeness that has plagued him a little bit, it's not quite as given. If the prop number is good, then I say give it a shot. It'll all depend on what the line is, though. It would have to be at least plus 300, I think, for me to take a shot on it.
Nick Kalikas, 2 big names, both on 3-fight losing streaks. I'm guessing that maybe the public is split on this because you can make such a good argument for betting against either of these guys.
No, they're all in on Ellenberger thus far, at least. So, yeah, they're coming in. I opened at minus 165, so there has been more action on Ellenberger, and the sports books at this time do need Koscheck, and we will probably need Koscheck to come through on fight day as well. So, it's one of those things. Koscheck's been out so long. He's coming off of, again, you said, the knockout, a brutal knockout as well. So a lot of people think that he's had it. And again, styles make fights. And that knockout to Lawler was actually, he got himself in a bad spot. Lawler just started teeing off. So it's a different stylistic matchup with Ellenberger. Now, of course, Ellenberger does have that explosive power. He has really good takedown defense. And he's going to have a little bit of speed. And, of course, he can probably catch Koscheck's chin and put him out. So I think a lot of people or banking on that with Ellenberger's speed and his power against Koscheck's chin at this point. Right. He probably can do what Tyron Woodley did. But if he doesn't do that, I mean, Koscheck can win this fight. So I do think it's a dog or pass situation right now.
Really?
But again, as Brian said, yeah, definitely, because I mean, you can't really count Koscheck out that much, because this is to me it's almost a coin flip type of fight with a slight edge towards Ellenberger. But I mean, if Koscheck, I think he's a better wrestler in this fight. We cannot forget that he's got a ton of power. Even though he might not be the greatest striker in the welterweight division, he does have a lot of power. He can put people on his own right. And with all the question marks on Ellenberger, I don't know how anybody could be that confident going his way either. So he needs this fight. He's a younger, kind of fresher fighter. Now, let's not forget, he's a veteran of the sport as well. So even though he's got the youth advantage on his side, I mean, the guy's been through many wars throughout his career, even before he came into the UFC. So both of these guys are true veterans of the sport. They've been around a while. So there's wear and tear on both sides here. I do think that right now Ellenberger has a better chin slightly. And again, he's got the speed. Both of these guys have tremendous power, and both of them are pretty solid wrestlers. But you got to give the total ground edge. I think Koscheck is a better wrestler. He's a better grappler. If he takes his back, I mean, just look what happened against, Gastelum in his last fight with Ellenberger. Koscheck can rear naked choke him as well. So it doesn't happen that often. Ellenberger's submission defense has been better, but there's a lot of weird things about this fight and how they match up that I wouldn't be that confident in laying the juice against either one of these guys. You know what I mean? So it's a tough fight. I do think where the public currently bet the line, it's a dog or pass situation.
See, I would feel like it might be dog or pass with Koscheck at maybe plus 250 or a little bit higher, but it's just plus 170. I mean, the age difference, it just seems like a bounce back is much more likely for Ellenberger, considering, his age and his skill set right now, than it is for Koscheck. But you disagree with that?
No, I mean, it seems like it should be that way. So I do kind of agree with that. It just, I mean, I would think that there's a little bit of value. I'm almost tempted at plus 170, honestly, to take a stab at Koscheck. I'm not sure I will, because like Brian said, honestly, I'm not, I really don't want to bet either one of these guys until I see them kind of come back and perform well a few fights in a row, maybe. Now for Koscheck, this could be obviously the end. I mean, he's almost 40 years old. So I don't expect too many more fights for him. But at the same time, Ellenberger, signed not too long ago. He signed that new UFC contract extension. There was a lot of upside to Ellenberger. A lot of people thought that he would be a future. I mean, he is a title contender in some ways. Not anymore, really. But at the same time, he was up in that, in that group mixed in for a title shot. So a lot of people believe that, he had enough on his skill set that he could possibly accomplish that goal eventually. Now he's went straight downhill after that. So I really have to see him perform well these next couple fights. So if he comes out here and knocks out Koscheck, gets a little bit of confidence back, they match him up with another solid fighter, he gets another W there, then I'm going to start believing in Ellenberger a little bit more again. But for right now, I do think as it stands, it's probably more of a pass. But if the line keeps creeping up, I don't think it has to be plus 250-ish. I think if you're getting close to plus 200, maybe a small flyer on Koscheck is worth it as well.
All right. Well, the public all over Jake Ellenberger, and the book's probably going to need Koscheck, and according to Nick Kalikas, that's okay with him. Brian Heminger, if you had to bet this fight one way or another, which would it be?
I'd probably just pass. I really don't trust either guy. The chins aren't there. The mental state might not be there. I think I'm just going to completely pass this one as well.
All right. I think I'd take a shot with Ellenberger by knockout or by first round knockout if the odds were good enough. Thanks for your thoughts, guys.